Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar Building a Career in Ethical Hacking Core Skills, Challenges, and the Future by our speaker, B. Vinod Babu. I am Kainaz Baria, and I will be your host for the day. Before we get started, we would like to go over a few house rules. For our attendees, the session will be in listen only mode and will last for an hour, out of which last 15 minutes will be dedicated to Q&A. If you have any questions during the webinar to the organizers or to our speaker, use the Q&A window. Also, if you face any audio video challenges, please check your internet connection or you may log out and log in again. An important announcement for our audiences. We have initiated CPE credit certificates for our participants. And to qualify for one, the attendees are required to attend the entire live webinar and send an email to cybertalks@ecouncil.org, after which our team will issue the CPE certificates. Also, we would like to announce to our audiences about the special handouts. Kindly take the screenshot of the running webinar and post it on your social media, LinkedIn or Twitter, tagging EC Council and hashtag Cybertalks. We will share free handouts to first 10 audiences. As a commitment to closing the cybersecurity workforce gap by creating multi-domain cyber technicians, EC Council pledges $3.5 million towards CCT education and the certification scholarship to certify approximately 10,000 cyber professionals ready to contribute to the industry.
Did you know that you can be part of the lucrative cybersecurity industry? Even top companies like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, IBM, Facebook, and Dell all hire cybersecurity professionals. The cybersecurity industry has a 0% unemployment rate. The average salary for an entry-level cybersecurity job is about $100,000 per year in the United States. Furthermore, you don't need to know coding and learn from your home, and you get a scholarship to kickstart your career. Apply now. EC Council is pledging a $3.5 million CCT scholarship for cybersecurity career starters. Scan the QR code on the screen to apply for the scholarship. Fill out the form.
If you want to know more, kindly visit our website given in the chat section. Our speaker for today's webinar is B. Vinod Babu. He's a cybersecurity trainer and speaker with 2 decades of experience in IT and cybersecurity. He's a research scholar on dark web crimes, certified trainer at EC Council and CompTIA, reviewer and author of research articles and ebooks. He has delivered 100 plus training sessions in India and abroad. He's a practitioner in the design and development of software and designed radios. He's a security consultant for law enforcement agencies in India and abroad related to cyber and crypto crimes. He's an instrumental in building cyber security capacities for various renowned organizations. He's developed cloud lab platform to deliver self-designed custom curricula. He's a specialist in security audits and vulnerable assets in government and corporate organizations. Lastly, he is the specialist in automotive and avionics related IoT and embedded technology security testing. So without any further delay, I would now like to hand over the session to our speaker, B. Vinod Babu.
Thank you, Kainas. Thanks for that introduction, and welcome you all to today's session for building the career in cybersecurity, especially pursuing ethical hacking as a career path. So, what kind of opportunities do we have using this ethical hacking skills? And what kind of a skill sets would you need? So, what is the importance of the ethical hacking today in the cyberspace? By and large, is what we would be discussing as a part of today's discussion. So before we move on to the discussion of cybersecurity or ethical hacking, why we are here and why ethical hackers have got, this word has got a lot of traction these days, especially for last decade and off, you would see you're finding the new portfolios have come in and new job roles have evolved, right? So ethical hacking is just one word, which we know almost 2 decades back. So ISI Council had been, that's one of the flagship program of ISI Council as well. But this opposed to that, there are a lot of other career opportunities that have evolved. Something like a security analyst, could be a penetration tester, could be a red team. So various types of job profiles have evolved. So the reason why these new portfolios have come in picture, majorly the kind of attacks, versatile attacks that every day you see, and especially in cybersecurity, your knowledge as of yesterday is obsolete today. I would always say that this in most of my sessions. Why it is obsolete? So it's ever-changing, dynamic, volatile. So it's a mix of logical and creative approach that the hackers take, an innovative type of an attack that evolves. Whatever the knowledge that you have about the attacks, whatever the understanding or learning that you have about an attack, the way the attacks takes place, the way what kind of tactics that these attackers use, what kind of techniques that these attackers use, what procedures do they adapt in terms of launching this attack, as one side of the coin. The other side of it, as we see that growing technology, we see that there is a machine learning which has come, artificial intelligence which has taken next way. When we see that artificial intelligence with a on a positive notion as well as a negative notion, we see that there is something like a warm GPT, like fraud GPT, various types of harmful GPT applications which are evolved, especially on artificial intelligence. So it become too much innovative in terms of the attacks and the attack structures that are there. So this is one of the graphs that you see. The majority portion of cyber attacks is related to the cyber crimes. This is something an open source portal like Hackathon, which has given the statistics. And the next place goes to cyber espionage, like unfair competitive intelligence that runs between the organizations. Could be an hacktivism, which could be another reason, like where hacking for fun, hacking for some kind of a government or a state-sponsored motives, could be because of an personal agenda. So hacktivism is something which is bothering, and then you find a cyber warfare. It's another way. We see that across the world. New technologies are evolving, and along with that, the new threats are also created. So if you see here, my browser right now, whatever the attacks that you are seeing, right, whatever the movement that you see here on this browser right now, this particular website is called as a threat map website, which is showing a live attacks which are happening across the world. A new type of a malware which is evolving and which is spreading across, a new variant which is coming up. And it shows like what all the countries which are undergoing attack, what all the industries that are undergoing attack, what all the different types of malwares which are being used as a vector for these attacks. So this is all a real-time scenario. So attackers are in millions, whereas the people who secure the cyberspace and the infrastructure, cyber infrastructure, is kind of a lone rangers, and we have a limited number of people. Today, with the automated attacks, so we need a lot of workforce in this area. So that's the reason why we have come up with this webinar to talk about the importance of the ethical hacking and why you need to choose ethical hacking as a career path, and what are the opportunities that are there for you, and what could be the future. That's what we focused in this particular webinar. Having said that, cybersecurity, 2 decades back, we never heard this word. So maybe right from 1.5 decade, say plus minus, or a decade, where we had been hearing cybersecurity as popularly the word everywhere. So before to that, majorly the people used to refer it as an information security. Could be data security. So information security, cybersecurity are like subsets for each other. So information security talks about the data protection or protecting by providing the security for the information. The area of like maintaining the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of the data only for the authorized users. Protecting the data from unauthorized attacks and unauthorized users. Cybersecurity covers in the entire cyberspaces. Information is one subset, one small part of the whole area. So then, as it move forward, we have network switches, routers, be the people, process, technologies, various technologies could be related to a system engineering, could be a network engineering, could be a network security, right? Identity access management. So all of this infrastructure put together, which will fall into the purview of cybersecurity. So cybersecurity is said to be for everyone. So it's from a doorman to the chairman of the organization. Cybersecurity is required. Cybersecurity is something. No, it's no more just a compliance, like where people they have a CMM level certification or ISO certification, and we are certified cybersecurity complete. So it's just no more just a hanging certificate on the wall, but it is a need of the hour. Today, organizations are facing the adversaries from all the directions in terms of protecting the cyberspace infrastructure they need the right resources to be in place. It is not just limited to a data protection, but also, as I said earlier, it covers, like, if you take an organization, or maybe if you refer that to an asset, whatever it is. So people, process, and technology. So all of this is covered as part of this cybersecurity, taking care of confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So this is because today information is no more in a printed format, but it is entirely in a digital form. So everything is technology driven today. That's one reason why cybersecurity has been a buzzword and need of the hour. A lot of people started choosing the path of cybersecurity as a career. It is not just limited to one technology, one framework, or one tool. So it is collection of frameworks, collection of processes, collection of tools, collection of technologies. Right? All of this put together is what we call it as in cybersecurity. Yeah, versatile, right? Whether you are a fresher who is starting your career today, or you're a lateral who want to take a new dimension or get into a different track, an innovative track in the career. So any of these options that you take, in cybersecurity, everybody is welcome. So you need not be completely from a technical background, but you have a passion towards technology. You have an inquisitive, towards learning the new things, and especially we have a bit of interest towards reverse engineering more than the forward engineering, right? So especially this kind of basic characteristics or prerequisites that you could say. So irrespective whether you're academically from whatever the background that you are from, still you could choose ethical hacking as your career path, because you don't need to have a coding background. You don't need to have a specific technology background, but you should be ready in terms of learning the new things, understanding how the networks work, understanding what exactly computer architecture is, right? Understanding how exactly a website or a web server would work. What is inside that server? This kind of a learning attitude is what very important for a candidate to get into the cybersecurity and choose the path of ethical hacking. So there are opportunities in every sector today. Before we talk about ethical hacker, what all the different types of hackers do we have? We have three different types of hackers are there. One is a hacker called as a white hat hacker. White hat hackers are the people who are attending this session today, right? So who wanted to pursue their career as an ethical hacker and use those skill sets for a legitimate purpose to protect proactively protect the organizational assets. So proactively protecting in the sense finding the weaknesses of the organization assets and giving the information back to the organization so that the organizations can build a strong security shield. So the white hats are basically the good guys, you'd say that. So they're the good guys. You have somebody called as in black hats. They are the bad guys. So these are the people, you know, who has same knowledge. White hats and black hats would have the same kind of a knowledge, but they use this knowledge for a legitimate purpose, something to exploit, with the motive to with a destructive motive, right? Maybe it's something like siphoning the money from a credit card or a bank account, right? Or maybe somebody who is trying to exploit an cyber infrastructure, create a chaos. So this could be the reason why the black hats would opt for this hacking as a process. Gray hats are middle line guys, right? So more or less like you could refer them as an. I would have, I think that most of you would have seen the movie Transporter. So who takes a middle line? So who doesn't ask the questions? He just delivers the package from X to Y, Y to Z, right? So in a similar way, gray hats are also a middle line guys who never ask a question. They core focused on whether their objectives are being met or not. So they don't take the sides like whether they're into offensive side or a defensive side, good side or a bad side. So they are the middle line guys. Script kiddies are people who learn things in a halfway. So it's like half-baked knowledge. Say that. So people who go to YouTube and try to learn how to hack a Gmail, right? How to hack an Instagram. What all the steps need to be followed, or maybe ask Google to give them the knowledge of what all the tools that could be used for this. So they don't have an ability or the understanding or knowledge how exactly computer systems work, architectures work, servers work, maybe the network works, and what's a stack, application stack, and what is a server stack. So they don't understand, or they don't have an ability to develop exploit, or maybe identify a vulnerability and exploit a vulnerability by themselves. But they can follow the steps. Somebody gives them a guide, they'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and yes, they launch their attack. These are the another type of hackers. They are called as script kiddies. So the harm from these script kiddies is less because they need to be they need to work out of the box to basically to learn the hacking or actually hack or launch something onto the network target. But they are the people who rely upon somebody who has developed the tool, and they would have written the steps, and they just blindly follow those steps and try to get the results. Harm would be less, but basically they would create a lot of congestion onto the networks and system. Cyber terrorists are the people with a strong political background, or a community background, or maybe a regional religious background, or politically. They want to show their upper hand, the ability and the power. They are cyber terrorists. They are also referred as suicidal hackers. They know what they are doing, and they are ready to face those consequences. So they are such kind of people called as cyber terrorists. And you have one called as state-sponsored hackers, like the attacks which have taken place on Sony Entertainment, something which has been launched by state-sponsored. That's what has been referred. So quite a few state-sponsored. Most of the attacks are what is an app. So advanced persistent threat attacks. Advanced persistent threat attacks. Most of these attacks are state-sponsored. So it's one way. Now we talk about an ethical hacker. So when you refer to a yin and yang, right? So diagram of grading an ethical hacker and unethical guy. Ethical guy is skilled, professional. Unethical guy is also a skilled, malicious guy. Whereas ethical guy is basically uses that knowledge to penetrate into the networks, computer systems, and show present those information results back to the organization. Tell them, hey, look, we have this issues with us on our server, on our application, on our website. Maybe I think we need to take a proactive step in terms of protecting or building a shield or patching the application, patching the server, patching the operating system. So that's something the ethical guy An ethical guy tries to, once he finds this exploit, maybe available vulnerability and the possible exploit that is available, could be a code, could be a process, could be anything. He will use that particular vulnerability. So a vulnerability has been found by these guys, and they'll try to identify the exploit for this. And using this particular exploit, he would try to take advantage on the asset. So this is someone you can put onto the young side, which is a bad guy, right? So ethical hacking, or hackers use the same kind of techniques, but they are like bad guys or unethical hackers or black hats, but they use this for a legal and ethical purpose. One most important thing which I would like to put forth to your knowledge. Most of the times I often get these questions. People who are enthusiasts in security, or maybe get into ethical hacking, learn hacking process. So which is a tool would you suggest to hack? The answer for this question, I think no security professional could give one single line answer. It depends what you're looking at. So what kind of an asset that you're targeting. So depending on that, basically you take that particular tool and start using the particular. So hacking is not a one-step process, a one-tool process. It's a systematic process, like right from an information gathering to covering the tracks, right? So where you gather information about the target, you identify the target and gather the information about the target, try to footprint that particular target. Footprinting in the sense, let's say you find there is an X organization is there. So ethical hacker job role, if you look at it. Let's say that an X organization is your target. So what you learn from ethical hacking is basically like right from here. Let's say you choose a black box method, and you'll be finding what are all the assets. So when I refer to the assets, so they are intangible assets which are there online, publicly or public facing servers of this particular organization, publicly available servers, and their IP addresses. So you'd be finding this assets IP address. On this IP address, so what kind of technology is being used? Whether it is Java, whether it is an Apache web server, whether it is in LAMP stack, whether it is in Node.js. So what is that is used? So in this way, you try to do a footprinting of it, using which basically you'd be moving forward to the next level and try to fingerprint what all the services that are running on this particular server. From there, you move forward and try to scan and identify the ports which are there. So you started with the organization, try to find the IP address or IP range. From there, you start with the scanning, then you go to the enumeration process, which is like establishing an active connections with the target, right? And then you try to gain the access to the particular server. And finally, from there, try to cover the tracks or maintain the access and cover the tracks. So this is how you have a multiple steps. Right from this, you find multiple processes that you see here. A 6 to 7 steps process, which need to be mastered when you want to say that, yes, I am a hacker. Now, to become an ethical hacker, you need to have a strong model, ethical values, and you need to believe in that. You should have a highest level of moral in terms of using this knowledge or your findings for a positive purpose. The role of ethical hacker is to take a proactive stance in terms of identifying the cyber threats. So what organizations are looking from a particular ethical hacker? Let's say if you take an IT organization, they develop an application. So on that particular application, what are all the possible loopholes are there? How to find these loopholes? Whether whatever the loopholes that you found, is it a false positive or a true positive? That means, is it really there, or it is something which has given a false alarm that it's a vulnerability or a weakness through which a hacking can take place. So basing on that, you can identify what kind of exploitation it will take, and then basing on that, you take a approach in terms of identifying or exploiting that particular vulnerability, showcasing that, yes, giving a proof of concept to the organization. So this is our application, and this is the loophole that we have, or the vulnerability that we have, and this vulnerability could be exploited by using this process, or could be exploited by using this particular code, right? By using this particular technique. This is what an ethical hacker role is all about. So he shows this back to the organization so that the organization will understand and send this information back to the development team, and development team will build a patch, will build a preventive measure for it and apply that back. So this is what a role of an ethical hacker. You talk about today, ethical hacking is not limited to IT. So you talk about any manufacturing organization. Tell me any one organization where a computer system is not being used as a product, as a point of as a process for the production line, maybe for the assembling line or a manufacturing line, whatever. So everywhere you find the cyberspace has been occupied with the various servers, various technologies, and everywhere you find that organizations are using this information technology systems in place. So right from IT to OT, which is we call it as an operational technology, right, in the manufacturing division. So it could be to the automotives. Like today we see the cars with the internet inside, so equipped with the 5G, and these cars use something called as an automotive Ethernet or a SOAM protocol, right? Where this is the same protocol you'd be exploiting on the IT area, like information technology, and the same procedures could be used, whatever the procedures that you use for the Ethernet and IT, most of those procedures could be used on the automotive also, and take control of a particular vehicle. Now, the organizations like automotive manufacturing companies expect from you to find the vulnerabilities from this and report this back. So there are quite a few like this if you talk about any device manufacturing organizations. Everywhere you'll find some kind of an opportunity for an ethical hacker today. Ethical hacking is like a fundamental or a baseline today to get into, especially into a red teaming or a penetration testing, or into to the next level of vulnerability analysis or security analysis, security testing, right? Any of this. The core skills that you need to learn to master this particular subject would be coming up with then learning the computer architecture. Like let's touch base with the simple fundamentals, like you are using smartwatches, smart devices at your home, right? And you have a laptop, you have a desktop, you have a servers, right? So what is a risk? What is a risk? So what kind of architecture does it work? So what kind of architectural vulnerabilities we have, understanding the computer architecture vulnerabilities, how exactly operating system works, right from the hardware to the next level, which is what we call it as an hardware abstraction layer, comprised of a firmware, comprised of a drivers, BIOS, right? So of a kernel, operating system, subsystem, operating system, and then third-party libraries and the plugins, and on top of it you see the apps. So all put together as a part of this architecture, where exactly a vulnerability could be found. To have this knowledge, or to gain this knowledge, it's very important. So for you to have this a bit of prerequisites, I would say that a beginner to an intermediate level knowledge is which would be helpful. Medium level knowledge would be helpful in this area. Same goes with the network and communication engineering. Understanding LAN, WAN, technically how an internet works. Whenever you type google.com on your browser, right? So it opens a page within milliseconds. What happens at the backend? How exactly the request is going? Understanding the internet architecture. Understanding how exactly the communication happens between your computer and Google server, right? Understanding like an OSI model right from a physical layer to the application layer. At each layer, which protocol behaves in what way? Like how you have a metrics for everything. In a similar way, in the network also you have something called as PDUs, protocol data units. So what are all the PDUs, protocol data units at each layer? So have this knowledge, twice. And also, yeah, command line and PowerShell knowledge on Linux and Windows would be greatly helpful. So none of this is related to a coding if you look at it. But yes, at advanced level, when you go like you cross the stage of finding the vulnerabilities, exploiting those vulnerabilities, and taking the advantage of it. Finally, at this juncture, now you might need to develop or design your own exploits. For this, you need a knowledge. A bit of programming knowledge would definitely add more value to you, right? So at that stage, you might learn. Like for example, there is something called as an scanning process that you have as a part of your ethical hacking, for which there's a popular tool, which has been, even this tool is cited as a part of the movie called as Matrix, right? So this tool is called as a network mapper. Basically, this tool would map the entire network. Network mapping is being done with this tool. So this particular tool is like an Swiss knife for an hacker. It's like a Swiss knife for an hacker. This is those scripts have been written in language called as law. So once you learn this law, you'll have free hand to you understand like how the system works, network works, you know what needs to be checked. So you can design your own, develop your own custom scripts, like develop your own Python scripts. So that's the reason why probably now programming knowledge would be an added value. What kind of non-technical skills that ethical hacker need to have? Most important thing is that when you have a problem, so we often get into a situation where time and again we take the same approach for the same problem. We don't try to go out of the box and try to find a solution for it. So that's where I said at the starting stage, like it should be a combination of logical and creative, both. So that's out of the box thinking is what important for a problem solving. So that's something which needs to be developed, right? It could be groomed. You need to, you can build yourself, right? And then you have something called as a communication. So we're conveying the findings in a proper way. So whatever the findings that you have, it should be like, even to a non-technocrat, your findings should be, they should be able to understand your findings. They should be able to, now the way your communication should be is like, they should be able to read that, understand it. Ethical reason, why you have done a step. So what made you to do? So you need to carry those moral boundaries and you need to maintain those principles, and you should be legally bound or within the bond, the legality, right? So you shouldn't do anything unlawful. So there could be a lot of opportunities that you'd be finding. Like overnight, you could also see right now using the same skills you can make $1 million. By the end of the day, the word ethical hacking, where your journey started. So that's very important. So to maintain that, you need to maintain the moral boundaries. So it's very important what you're looking at and what kind of objectives that you have set for your career. Learning ability, like you should be a fast and continuous learner. As I said, your knowledge as of yesterday related to vulnerabilities or exploits is obsolete today. So you should be a continuous learner. Like you don't need to spend hours together. Maybe while you travel, while you and as a bit of a time, 10 to 15 minutes, you spend, like try to read, follow the influencers on the Twitter, it could be on the Reddit or GitHub, whatever, and try to see what all the new vulnerabilities which have come, and try to understand like what's the security portion. Maybe a new tool you might come across. So various things that you could learn. And tools of trade, as I said, quite a few. It's just for the purpose of presentation, I've mentioned these things. Kali itself is having close to about 1600 plus tools in Kali Linux machine, right? So like a backtrack edition. So various set of tools which you could download as per the requirement. For penetration testing, we usually use another Swiss knife for an hack about some Metasploit. Could be a Wireshark, could be affairs using a net discovery tool or HPing tool. You have something called as COTS tools, which is called as commercially off-the-shelf tools, like Nessus, could be a Qualys, could be a Burpsuite. Burpsuite has a community edition as well as pro edition. Could be a Necto, which is open source, Zap, multiple tools. And operating systems wise, for ethical hacking, Kali Linux, ParrotOS, no, first place, second place, you could say that. No, could be a Dragon, could be Blackbox, various tools of trade could be used. When you look forward for the certifications, so what are all the various certifications that you have? So to start with, as I said, once you're ready and good to go with your prerequisites like network and system fundamentals, you're good with that, I would suggest you to take like something like an ethical hacker, which is a flagship program of SC Council, and I personally have tried on certified ethical hacker in 18 countries till now. So hundreds of resources got trained on CH, right? So I see that they've grown to the next level by using this specific set of skill sets. And most important thing is that CHS, there's a lot of change. I've been following for quite a few versions now. So it is with a cutting edge possibilities and what requirements as per the industrial requirements. You have every tool, every process, every method that has been included, whatever is possible as a part of the ethical hacking. And then you have something called as an OSCP, which is Offensive Security Certificate. It's like, again, a program which would stand like a star on your shoulder, a feather on your cap, which would say that which would show your credibility or in terms of knowledge that you have gained as an ethical hacker. And you have something called as an GPEN, which is a GISC penetration tester. The SANS programs in place. You have something called an CISSP, which is an ISC2 program. ISC2 program. Then you have something called as an CompTIA's penetration test. And then you have something called as Trust, registered penetration tester. So various programs are there. The certifications that I would suggest you to consider. So all of them will have an equal footing or a parallel footing, I would say, more than the equal footing. So, but again, you have to be very choosy in terms of what kind of modules that you're looking forward and what is that kind of the immediate career objectives that you have. Basing on that, you need to choose particular certification. Challenges in ethical hacking is keeping up with rapidly evolving pace. You need to remember one thing. Today your competition is not with your peer. Your competition is with the ChatGPT, kind of artificial intelligence tools. So it was one of the examples that I gave, right? So being at par with that, so you need to rapidly grow, and you should be a fast learner, a quick learner, and you should create your own footprint, distinguish yourself, create your own footprint. There's a quite competitive field, I would say that. Competitive field in the sense like you have a lot of requirements. So once you learn and you really think that you are an ethical hacker, yeah, you could use that knowledge, and create and this remarkable footprinting for yourself, or maybe you can getting a job. I don't think there'll be a challenge, as you have seen in the video, which has been played by Kindness at the starting of the session. Across the world, it is true to say that the attrition rate or maybe the layoffs rate is almost zero, because the resource shortfall is too much in cybersecurity. If you're really a resource, the one you have done not just to hang the certification on the wall or keep that for the records in the file, but you have done that, pursue it as a career, could be rest assured that yes, it's a good path to go, and you'll have a bright future using this ethical hacking. Ethical hacking in future will have a lot of demands because of this AI automation. So only the manual intervention is something which is always required to define a false positive, difference between a false positive and true positive. If an incident has been taken place, whether it is really an incident or it's a false incident which has been alarmed by mistake, right? Something like this too. So this is where ethical hacking in future also, even AI automation, whatever you have comes in place, but still you have your own chances to grow there with that. But you need to keep updating your knowledge from time to time and shifting towards a proactive defense from a continuous monitoring. Monitoring is already we had been doing for that. You find, as I told you earlier, everywhere you have an opportunity for an ethical hack. Technology, financial sector, healthcare, e-commerce, retail, energy sector, like as I told you, OT, operational technology, or ICS, right? So this is where financial sector, like you flourish the knowledge in OSINT, open source intelligence. Maybe you do basically in terms of using your knowledge for a security testing or a penetration testing of the financial applications, like now education sector, government and defense for a cybercrime eradication, protecting the OT technology again, giving the continuous education or imparting your knowledge, right, to the next upcoming aspirants. Could be the legal and compliance side of it. Like today, conviction rate is very less, so especially because people sitting at the court of law would need an resource who can actually explain what it is. This is where legal and compliance side you have a lot of opportunity in the organization. So you have something called as GRCs, governance, risk, and compliance, and most of the corporates, they have a lot of opportunities there. IoT, needless to say, everywhere you find Internet of Things. That's why we call it as an Internet of Everything today. So that's one more area you have an opportunity. Most important things for the aspiring ethical hackers who are there in the session: stay curious, never let your motivation go down, and keep learning. Most importantly, network with the professionals in the same domain and join the forums, read, right, participate in the conversations, try to take part. Now a new tool has come up, a new certification has come up. There are a lot of free certifications are also being provided by every organizations, including AC Council. So where at least you have for the learning purpose, you could use those basic knowledge and participate in the capture the flag events, like CTF events, to hone your skills. This is something which I would suggest. With that, I rest my talk for the day, and thanks for the opportunity, AC Council and team, for having me here today. I hope this knowledge would be useful and helpful to you all. Wish you all the best, and I hand over to you, Kainas, and you let me know if you have any questions. I will be happy to answer.
Sure. Thank you so much, Vinod Babu, for an informative session, and our attendees share the same sentiments. Today's session is in sync with EC Council's Essential Series certification. Thanks to emerging technologies like cloud computing, the Internet of Things, remote access, and blockchain, businesses have become more cost-effective and efficient. However, these developments have also created new attack surfaces for malicious hackers. As the cyber threat landscape evolves, early career cyber professionals need to develop proficiency in multi-dimensional skills to detect and thwart cyber attacks. The Essential Series from EC Council helps you gain a solid foundation in network defense, ethical hacking, and digital forensics. Develop solid skills and gain a competitive edge with our free entry-level courses designed by industry experts. Over 40 hours of self-paced learning, 30 plus lab activities, 2,500 plus page ebooks acquire most in-demand cybersecurity skills designed for early career cyber professionals. If you're interested to know more, kindly take part in the poll that will be launched now. Let us know your preferred mode of training and we will reach out to you. And now we shall answer some questions. So, B. Vinod Babu, shall we start the Q&A?
Yep, go ahead. Please go ahead.
Sure. The first one. I am new to ethical hacking. What course should I start?
So again, it's a bit tricky question. So you have, as I told you earlier, so primarily focus on getting your prerequisites done. Initially, learn whatever the prerequisites that I've suggested, like computer architecture and network as a first step. Then I would suggest you definitely go with the CH program. The reason why a CH program is it's a comprehensive program, good to start, affordable. At the same point in time, it's an so every equal opportunity employer in the industry values the certification, and it is at your reach. Maybe if you could effort, more in terms of you have an opportunity to pursue a GPEN or OSCP as well. But OSCP needs a lot of commitment. Maybe you need to work at least for a few months together to get this done.
Thank you. And we can move on to the next one. Based on your experience in the IoT security, sir, what is the most secure and efficient authentication protocol suitable for resource-constrained applications?
In terms of cryptography or communication protocol you're referring to. So if it is in cryptographics, like AES standard is what anything AES above 128 would be an appropriate cryptographic algorithm of cipher pursuit that it is. Communication wise, mostly the MQTT protocol. So you have a eavesdropping, interception, or maybe interruption kind of methodology is still there, but they're all by default with the protocol structure. So MQTT is one of the best industry-wide used protocols. And you have a LoRaWAN, that's another time-tested and proven protocol that could be used. If you ask me whether this could be exploited, yep, there are chances, and it all depends upon how best this is being implemented. This is one of the major communication protocols which I've seen across the industry being used.
Thank you. We can move on to the next one. What are the methodologies of ethical hacking you recommend and why?
What were all the methodologies?
Which are the methodology of ethical hacking you recommend and why?
Methodologies in terms of like ethical hacking.
Yes.
Still, no. If the question, if I understand correctly, so you're pointing towards what kind of a testing methodology that you could use, or a proven testing methodology that could be used by using this ethical hacking skills. What is the best methodology to go with? I would say, obviously, the first one would be a black box testing, where the organizations are more like to understand a security posture of an organization. Black box testing methodology with a blinded or double blinded method could be one of the best possible approach that you could take. A white box methodology, a gray box methodology is another option. Like it depends upon what is that the objectives that you have set for this testing. So basing on that, you can define which methodology that you want to go with. So initially, the primary would be, or widely being used, is black box, and that too you need to have of course, yes, the whitelisting is required for the IP addresses when you are doing specific onto the any organization's network, and you need to take the prior permission, written permission, so the process has to be mapped. Any other questions?
Yes. The next one is, I have over 20 years of experience as a system admin engineer. How
Mhm.
do I start the transition to ethical hacking or even cybersecurity in general?
The moment you say you're there for 20 years, 20 long years in system engineering, right? So you've seen a transition. So more or less, you are already there as a part of the cybersecurity. It's just that you need to improve your skills and focus on. What I would suggest is start pursuing a certification program, some kind of a certification program. Go with a self-learning in a self-learning pace, but fix the objective. Like by December 2023, I should complete this. It's kind of set the goals clearly and ensure that, for example, you choose a SEH program or maybe an OSCP program, right? For this, the first thing you need to go with the HITB or hack the box kind of, choose them, or pen tester academy kind of a platform, or could be in CEH you have practice labs and you have a user guide. So go with your own pace and start doing slowly, but you fix the timeline, maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months. It wouldn't take a long time for you because you're already acquainted with the system engineering. So that's an added advantage for you. So you can switch over into it less than, I would see that within 6 months you should be ready for it.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question. Ethical hacking. Being ethical hacker is a full-time position. You cannot do anything else because techniques and tools evolve quickly and you have to keep up with changing environment. It was my feeling. Do you agree with me, sir?
Kind of. So the question he asks is, ethical hacking is volatile and dynamic. So it's like new tools coming in, right? So is it appropriate to choose this as a career path? Is that the question, Kanas?
Yes. So he would like to know if what he is feeling, do you agree with him?
Fundamentals tools will be keep changing. This is something which I would always suggest in most of the training programs and capacity building activities that I would say. See, the tools will be changing. So what the tools which I had been or which I was using way back, right? When there is a website called as nastalavesta.com. So by then, I'm talking about almost 2 decades back. This knowledge is not really available, no, or in a perfect form till the time the organization or with the visionary people like Jay Bavisi, founder of EC Council, has now come into the field and industry, and they started this flagship program. Before that, it was like bits and pieces. Like we need to spend a lot of time on the internet to find out which tool to be used and how it needs to be used. But one thing which I've understood is fundamentals or the baseline remains to be seen. For example, ethical hacking, those steps of ethical hacking will remain to be same. It doesn't change. Tools do change. When you are conceptually strong, whatever the new tool that comes up, so it's not going to make any difference because you know how it works. Back of it, how each one of this tool would work. So I don't think that is challenging. In fact, that is challenging in terms of keeping myself more advanced or maybe with the cutting edge knowledge. I'd be ready for it. So I would see that as an advantage more than a disadvantage.
Sure. Thank you, sir. The next one. Can you please guide us about the certification in cybersecurity that is acceptable for remote jobs?
As I said, any of the certifications that I've shown you on the slide some time back, right? Any of it, starting with CH, GPEN, OSCP, right? But again, affordability is what all matters. So for remote jobs or for on-site jobs, the certifications are, for example, if you talk about US, when you want to pursue and several UK, or you want to shift to any of these countries. So basically, you need to look for the certifications which are approved by Department of Defense, or maybe approved which has a higher level security clearance, right? So if you have the certifications, then getting a job over there is quite easy. So I would suggest to CH would be a good start for it. Not that because I'm trying out for that, but yes, I've seen that time tested. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to our wonderful speaker, B. Vinod Babu, for answering those questions and for the great presentation and the knowledge shared to our global audiences. It was a pleasure to have you with us, and we're looking forward to more and more sessions with you. So
Thank you
before we conclude,
for giving an opportunity to all your team, and yeah, wish you all the best. Have a supersonic career as an ethical hackers, all of you who has attended this session. Right. Thank you, Dennis.
thank you. So before we end the session, I would like to announce our next Cyber Talk session, Holistic Cybersecurity Strategy, Integrating Pen Testing and Forensic for CISO's Decision Making, which is scheduled for October 30th, 2023. This session is an expert presentation by Dr. Erdal Oskaya. To register for this session, please do go and visit our website www.ecouncil.org. The link is given in the chat section. Hope to see you all on October 30th. With this, we will end the session and you may now disconnect your lines.